guy just wants to be left alone in peace.
Aren't you going to take him in for questioning or anything?
Just leave him alone.
Norman Bates is back to normal. But Mother's off her rocker. Again.
Norman, is that you?
Yes, Mother. It's me.
Bates Motel.
Aside from total boredom, nothing's gonna happen to you here.
I can't have that sort of thing going on in my motel. Gives the place a bad name.
Why are you so kind to me?
You remind me of someone.
I figured Bates was a geek, but a full-fledged Looney Tune?
Norman!
I'll get you for this, Mother.
You haven't got the guts, boy. It's perfectly natural for a son to love his mother.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the new Ridgeline podcast. I'm Devin Dunnigan, and here with me is Mr. Stephen Mott. How you doing, brother?
Great, brother Jake Z. Drummer.
All righty, so we are bringing in the brand new year with a commentary for you. Tonight we are going to be talking over 1986's Psycho 3, so the third movie in the Psycho franchise, and directed by the star of the show, Anthony Perkins, in his directorial debut, and I believe this was the only movie he ever directed. But to me, he did a pretty good job with this one. So, yeah, I mean, Steven's watching on Vudu, I'm watching on Amazon Prime, and so we're at 17 seconds in on this, and it's right before the Universal logo pops up. So, yeah, I'll count down from 3, and when I say the word play, you hit the play button. So 3, 2, 1, and play.
27 seconds.
Something like that. So yeah, this to me is a good movie. I've always really enjoyed the Psycho series as a whole, and this movie to me is very underrated. I think a lot of people look back on this one as being like the black sheep of the franchise, and I actually really do enjoy this. I've talked about it on my channel before on one of my older reviews, and I just recently bought this on Blu-ray. Yeah, this opening was different actually. I know that was a huge change in subject, but yeah, this was not the original opening. I was watching earlier before we did this commentary. There was actually a opening to where it was basically like these paintings or something, like a matte painting, and then it went to her in the desert or whatever with this stupid narration. It was overall kind of I like the idea of the opening with the matte painting, but I did not like the narration. And I think
This is an
this
interesting
opening,
cold open.
oh yeah, it gives you exactly kind of the mood of this movie right off the bat.
She hit her head on the bell.
Uh-huh. That reminded me of '89 Batman.
I
But
didn't
yeah,
notice that the first time around.
this is a heck of a freaking opening. I'll say that. I mean, yeah, this is where like the TV opening or whatever picks up here, where like the nuns on the ground or whatever. But it's some different stuff. I could be all the way wrong about it. It could just be two different TV openings, but it looked like all one opening. But whatever. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about.
Diana Scarwood.
Yep. Jeff
Jeff
Fahey.
Fahey.
He's
Fahey.
probably he's one of the best parts of this movie, probably.
Oh.
As Duke. I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. I think it gets a lot of undue criticism. And a lot of people say, oh, like it's the first movie all over again. And I see where they're coming from with it. But, and I mean, that was what the writer intended, was for it to go back to the first movie. And I think, I mean, he did a good job with it. And I thought Anthony Perkins actually, as a director, this being his first time, he did a really good job. I thought his direction in this was very good. And most people look at this one, it's like this is Psycho as an '80s slasher, and that's part of the reason I love it so much is because it's Psycho in the '80s. I mean, this is a very '80s movie, and I mean down even to the score. I love the score in this. It's so kind of atmospheric, and it's really interesting.
That's something I
Yep.
thought about with the first when I saw the first Psycho was the score. I thought it was good.
Oh yeah, the score all around in this franchise is good, but only the first one, fourth one, and the remake were the ones that had like the original cues and stuff like this. Stuff like this. Like 2 and 3 was different. And two's a good movie. I think two on its own is maybe as good or even a little bit better than the original. I love two. I love this one is up there. I love this one. I think this is a great one. But this ended up derailing the franchise, though.
it kind of starts where it goes off the wall, and then it makes its way back to the motel,
Yeah.
and then doesn't really go back the other way, does it?
Not really. I'm telling you, the freaking narration that was over the opening I watched was so stupid. It was basically like her life's about to change and she doesn't even know it. I mean, it was just like I looked at the comments. It was like, yeah, well, what a way to dumb down a movie.
Yeah, I was just sitting there like, what the crap?
Exactly. And if I sound
Stupid.
stuffed up, it's because I have a cold. So
You don't sound that much different than normal.
okay, that's a good thing then. Other than stuttering words. Well, I imagine if you've listened to all of our episodes, that's kind of become something you've gotten used to.
7 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, we're waiting for an hour 33:29. That's what we're waiting for
Yeah,
here.
you kind of read my mind there, but kind of beat me to it. But not with this movie. I actually do enjoy this particular outfit of a film. It's kind of weird doing a commentary on a movie that I'm actually familiar with and I've seen
Yeah.
before. Because usually I'm making assumptions about what's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen, so it's weird.
We did Halloween Kills, and we both saw that movie. That freaking piece of crap.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, you had a completely different perspective on that film the second time around, huh?
Yeah,
And
now I'm
from that
back to
on,
it's not good.
you're back to where you started, huh?
Pretty much. I watched the extended cut, and I was like, "Whoa, this is just kind of stupid." You know, I've never thought about it before, but this is kind of beat for beat the first movie in a lot of ways. And I was talking about earlier, this is kind of some people like a remake of the first one. Like this scene where she's asleep and it's raining and everything. I mean, it's kind of a
Yeah.
throwback to the first movie.
Well, what I did a couple days ago was I actually watched this movie, and then I went back and watched the first Psycho or whatever. But so that's why I noticed what. See, I noticed it backwards. If that makes any sense. Like I was watching the first one, and I was like, "Well, this is kind of similar the way it's going." You know,
Yeah.
they take similar turns. If that makes any sense. Not completely the same, beat for beat.
I listened to well, I didn't listen to it. I watched a documentary. There's the freaking quote of the movie right there.
They sure wouldn't
That's
have done
the
that in
freaking quote.
1960.
That's the freaking quote I remember the most out of this whole entire movie.
That figures.
Exactly. Now we enter Bates Motel. But yeah, I watched a documentary on this movie. Well, it was actually a documentary on all four of the movies. I believe even the remake was thrown in there, and even the writer talked about. He was like, my idea to with doing the third movie was to throw it back to the first movie because he said that he felt like two kind of just derailed everything way too much, and it's different. I mean, it kind of takes the whole thing about Norman's mother and kind of rearranges it and tosses it on its head. But I mean, I respect it. It was to me, a good ending part too. But I mean, This one kind of resolves it. I like this attention to detail. I mean, you've got the book that was from the second movie. It was in a brief part, but it's back in this movie. That was cool. And we get to see Norman do his taxidermy.
It's going to cut back to the birds, and they're going to be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be good because I'm going to tell everything that happens.
This isn't a bad transfer, actually. I'm assuming this is from the Universal Blu-ray that they put out. I know Scream Factory put it out. That's the one I bought, and I haven't even watched it, so I can't tell you what it looks like. But this is not bad of a transfer.
When it first comes on to this part here, if you haven't seen the other Psycho, if you just seen this movie, it makes it come off the impression that he's going to eat it or something, but he's a nut. But it's then it, of course he is in actuality, but if that makes any sense. It's just kind of normalizes it later on. That's his hobby.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go.
And then of course it shows him eating crackers and touching inside of a dead bird at the same time.
Exactly.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Maybe that gives a little hint of his sanity.
I like this. They throw it back to part 2, but with a black and white flashback. So this is from part 2. Yeah,
really.
Yeah, this scene here is from part 2. It's the ending of part 2.
So what year is this movie from, Devin?
1986.
That's interesting.
I think
so. Like
2 was
20-something years after the first one?
I think 2 came out in 82. I think it was 22 years after the first one. 22 or 23. I can't remember. I always get it confused whether it's 82 or 83. But I do know they make mention of it several times because they say something about 20 years, and then Norman says, no, it's 22 or 23. So.
Yeah, I remember that part. It's coming up.
I don't know what I'm talking about, so. Let me go look up some trivia on this movie.
He's going to take the money. Or wait, no, he's not. He's going to try. Spoiler alert, he does not.
Yeah, I remember this movie. First time I saw this was on El Rey, which was a channel Robert Rodriguez had formed, and it showed a lot of movies like this and like kind of B movie horror movies and stuff like that. And I wish it was still around. That was how I actually first saw Jason Goes to Hell in its entirety. Which, I mean, that's a series of commentaries we've done many times, and they've never been released. Yeah, I remember seeing this, and then not long after I went and bought 2, 3, and 4 from Walmart. They had a triple pack, and that's one of my most prized possessions in my DVD collection. I've sat down and watched those movies many, many times. It says when the film went into pre-production, Anthony Perkins asked Psycho 2 director Richard Franklin to co-direct the film with him. However, Franklin declined. So yeah, Psycho 2 was 83 actually. I thought it was. I just wasn't real sure.
I wonder why he prefers the nights.
Well, we'll later figure that out, why he prefers nights.
Oh my.
Producer Hilton A. Green called this film his least favorite of all the sequels, feeling that there was too much graphic violence and nudity.
Oh, that's stupid.
I concur.
I'm not even sure if that's even a word, honestly.
It's a word, I believe. So I
This
like
scene here
having.
kind of moved along slow.
I like these characters coming back from Psycho 2. I was kind of glad they went back and had these characters come back. That was pretty cool.
To me, it stayed a little too long in this one spot here.
Well, it's exposition.
And this interviewer or whatever, this lady, it doesn't even go anywhere. She ain't really. It does, but
It's just kind of a
she's
thing
not
to get
really a
the
main
plot from A to
character.
B. Yeah, it just tries to get the plot from A to B, really. So I thought
I
this
think
was the biggest. What is it?
I think it could have just. I think it could have got the point across without some of the. They should have kind of cut it short a little bit with this scene.
Yeah, this is the point in the movie. He's like, "Yeah, I got you later, so don't even worry." It's kind of funny. He just looks aggravated at this within this little bit of association with this woman or whatever.
It's kind of like in the first film, they interrogated him, and the private investigator came, and he acted normal at first. Then he realized he forgot about the book, and then he kind of started acting funny and just told him to go away.
Yeah.
He starts acting weirder and weirder the more they talk him down, you know.
Well, he starts to realize he's being figured out.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the first movie, it's a horror movie, but I mean, it's also a kind of a mystery crime thriller.
He knew he screwed up. He was all right all the way up until that. You know, they looked at the name in the book. That's when he knew he screwed up.
Yeah. But I was saying earlier, like the interesting fact about this movie, it says here on the IMDb trivia page that in issue number 57 of Fangoria magazine, screenwriter Charles Edward Poe revealed the plot of his original script. In this version, it was Dwayne who was the killer and had intentionally come to Bates Motel because he was obsessed with Norman. Maureen was a neurotic psychologist who had come to the motel to replace Dr. Raymond, the doctor of Norman from the previous movie, and Poe had intended to cast original victim Janet Leigh in the role. But Universal rejected these ideas, arguing that Bates had to be the killer and Leigh was wrong for the film. However, Maureen's actions remained virtually unchanged. Her character was merely changed to a young nun. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. I wouldn't have mind seeing that play out. But, yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is. I like how this little part plays out here. This is pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I figured. It was originally intended to be shot in black, or was suggested to be shot in black and white, but Universal opposed it. Yeah, don't think it would have worked, quite honestly. It would have been interesting, but I mean, it is what it is. This one does
I
have
like it the
kind of,
way it is.
yeah, me too. I mean, it has kind of this indie film style feel to it, and that's what I think makes it so interesting. I mean, one of the big influences that Anthony Perkins had on the style of this movie was Blood Simple, which was the Coen brothers. And before production had even began, he took the entire cast and crew to a screening of the movie. And I mean, I kind of get that. I get a vibe of something like that from this one. You've got Maureen Coyle and then Marion Crane from the first movie. So there you go. I mean, another throwback to the previous.
Yeah, now he's showing his psychoness.
Yep. I mean, he plays this part so just he was made for this part. I mean, I can't see anybody else playing it. I mean, even when they did the remake, I mean, still, I mean, the remake it was kind of weird, and it was shot for shot of the first movie, but I mean, it was still not as good. I went back and watched it a little while back, and I mean, it wasn't as good as I had once thought it was. I liked the cast in it. I thought the cast was actually really good, but as far as the execution, it just kind of came off as kind of stupid. It also says that the mom and Norman are the only people to return from the first movie. And I never knew that the original actress for Norman's mom came back for the sequels.
No.
I just don't know. That's something I never knew or never noticed was that her clothes was wet in the suitcase. It's the small things with a lot of movies for me. I just if I notice some stuff like that, it kind of sticks out.
Cabin 1 having a significance.
Yep. There's a Kiss pinball machine.
My
It's in
time
this.
just got screwed up.
What happened to it?
It got paused for like
Oh,
probably 3 seconds.
it's fine. Just keep up with
Yeah,
it.
it'll be all right.
Yeah, there's the Kiss pinball machine, and behind him there. Yeah, pinball machines in this movie and in Friday the 13th Part 2 as well.
What the crap? The lines here are hokey and stupid, as Devin likes to say.
There's a Kiss pinball machine right there. I keep pointing it out, but it's so cool. It's just interesting to see that in this movie. I mean, cool transitions from scene to scene. That was actually pretty cool. Going from that scene to this one by this what's on the TV and all.
Meanwhile,
Here's another throwback to the first movie.
Cabin 1.
And I believe this was a body double in this scene. In fact, I know it was. Old cuz got scared there. I mean, it is. It's just like these little mannerisms that he does. It makes the character. I mean, see that another good transition. That was actually pretty cool. Like that shot quite a bit, where you see the Bates Motel sign through the on the picture.
Very thought-provoking process of filmmaking.
I mean, I don't understand why people hate this movie so much. And I mean, I've seen people like you mentioned Psycho 3, and they're like, "Oh, that movie." I'm like, it's not. It's a good movie. Like, it's legitimately a good movie. This is the point where Norman's like, "Holy crap, she got herself before I could."
That's a dude. Then he's gonna get laid. And then I'm gonna proceed to cough my head off and mute the mic.
Surprisingly enough, I haven't, but a couple of times. But it really hasn't been coughing. It's just to get a sip of water.
That sheriff is really stupid.
Yeah, I was gonna call him earlier, Barney Five, but I didn't. That's what he really truly reminds me of. Somebody off of Andy Griffith or something.
He reminds me of like the mayor off of Andy Griffith show or something.
Yeah.
A little bit. Not the way he looks, but the character. Kind of flighty.
We're sure you have, Norman.
Oh yeah, he was looking after her very well.
There's another throwback to the first movie. There's another throwback to the first movie.
I knew he was going to say it, but you reacted to it before he even said it. His
Or he
mind's
just said
behind.
exactly. I was fixing to say yours is behind.
Well, thank you, Devin. I'm glad you pointed that out to me.
This is quite an interesting commentary. It's probably a pretty good bit of dead air because we're actually watching the movie.
Well, because it's not Jason. Now I'm playing. Those are decent too.
Another good transition. And this woman here is from Friday the 13th, Part 5. Juliet Cummins. Now, this is one of the most off the wall freaking scenes in the whole entire movie. In any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of those just for effect scenes, isn't it?
It's for something, that's for sure. But I guess a good way to put it's effect. What's good? As you always say, oh my.
Oh,
It's not going to happen. You will not smoke.
yeah. This doesn't end well for her, does it?
No.
The second watch the guitar.
You still there, Steve?
Crap. The phone booth.
Here we go. And this is pretty much like the shower scene from the first movie in a lot of ways, except in a phone booth. That's some cringy stuff there when she's stepping on that glass and you hear it. That's what I. Once again, what I like so much about this movie is like all the throwbacks to the first movie.
So what you like about the film is what other people don't like.
Exactly.
Same thing.
It's misunderstood. I mean, I think people just looked at it as more of a ripoff than anything else. There was something else I've never noticed before. That $5 bill was sitting back in the cash register again. And that was actually kind of a cool attention to detail again. That $5 bill.
Yeah, you can tell it was thought out.
probably halfway through it now. So.
Like 47 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good movie. I think this movie it's better than it really has any business being. I mean, some movies you get a third movie in a series and it's probably the worst movie that's ever been released in it. But this movie to me though, it's like I said, really underrated. And I love this, how they bring all these people to the motel.
Brings lots of business.
Exactly. Yeah, I like this. Like I said, I love this movie. I love this movie. This is just one of those movies I could sit down and watch it and really enjoy it. It's probably a much easier movie to sit down and kind of grasp than part two, because there's moments in part two to where you kind of get a little bit confused. But I mean, I like both movies. I even, like I said, I like four, even though four is different. I'll probably talk about that toward the end of the movie or whatever. But I mean, well, I might as well go ahead because I'll probably forget by the end of the movie. But I mean, this movie derailed the franchise, and I mean, they tried to go the route of doing a TV series after this, which was going to be called Bates Motel, and they made a TV movie as a pilot, and the movie was not great. And then after that, they made another movie, Psycho 4, which was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie, but I mean, it was released to Showtime, so technically, I mean, it wasn't like edited for content or anything like that. I mean, this was a pay channel movie, so I mean, I like Psycho 4, and I talked about the remake a little bit, and then the other TV series, Bates Motel, from several years ago. I've never seen it. I've heard it was good though. But yeah, the movie after this, the TV movie, was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Oh,
I've watched it once. I remember some about it. I remember Laurie Petty and Bud Cort were the main people in it. And it was kind of corny in spots. And I mean, it was like that first half of it was like kind of related to the Psycho movies, and it was a direct sequel to the first movie, and then you had the second half was like the very first episode of the anthology TV series, and it never did get picked up because it was received horribly. I don't own it. I need to pick it up and rewatch it, but I'm sure. So this woman here is really she's trying to get Norman, and she's coming pretty close to it so far.
she's gonna screw up in a minute too.
Yep. I think this lady here has gotten a bit drunk. Or at least buzzed. I'll tell you a series we need to do in the future, the Smokey and the Bandit movies.
We need to get some other folks involved.
Yep. In particular, Gerald Pete Turner.
Yeah. And she's gonna die too. Nice spoiler, huh? Nobody cares.
That's some creepy crap. How that woman's up at looking out that window and all. That's some. I would be like, I'm getting out of here.
She's a doll. I'm not very good at commentating, am I?
I mean, we're doing a bunch of just watching the movie. I mean, I don't think there's really a right way or a wrong way to do this, other than just sit here and talk about it.
I know the wrong way to do it for sure. To sit here and tell what's gonna happen every time. That's one way not to do it. In my book.
I like it when it rains like this in movies. I wish it would rain like it real life all the time, but it just sets forth a very kind of calm and relaxing atmosphere.
His mother side of him is going to come out. He has two sides. Overprotectiveness. He murdered his mother. The Alfred Hitchcock hour.
Random crap.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we could do Smokey and the Bandit, some Saw movies. Whatever's on Voodoo, we can do it on here.
Really, what the original of this Psycho reminded me of was like watching an Alfred Hitchcock hour, but then just 30 minutes longer is all it really was.
Well,
If
I
that makes
mean,
any
yeah,
sense. You know, like that show, the old show, Alfred
yeah,
Hitchcock.
I know what you're talking about.
I
Yeah,
know you do,
but
but maybe the
I mean,
audience does
the
not.
original was an Alfred Hitchcock movie, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it reminded me so much of those old films. Some of them I've only seen so many, like a couple, you know, on Me TV late at night. It came on like what I think after Twilight Zone or something. It's in that same spectrum
hmm.
of like probably midnight or something like that. It would come on. They always involve murders that I remember, or most of the time at least.
Norman's mother's just roasting everybody, ain't she? She's calling it as she sees it.
Well, if she's all confined and has to be cooped up in the house, she sure can walk around and kill people when she wants to, supposedly. Hmm. I wonder why. Because it's a doll. Is she mumbling? Or is she having
And
a
see
mental breakdown?
that right there is like what everybody hates because it's like Norman going full slasher, and I like that. I mean, seeing Norman Bates just become like a Jason or a Michael Myers. I mean, it was.
That did cross my mind about the whole knife thing. He's gonna cut his fingers
I was
because he's
fixing to
holding
say
the
the same
daggum
thing.
knife backwards. What's happening is he's having a psychotic mental breakdown. No, he's sick, all right. She's gonna die.
Oh yes. Oh,
She's gonna die.
and there she goes.
She's gonna die. The owl saw it all.
Old Norman's playing it pretty close here.
The sheriff's gonna eat blood.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, for the 10,000th time. I'm just trying to prove that I actually did watch this movie. Oh my. No, not actually. That was slick.
Yep. Yeah, as I said earlier, it said after production wrapped, screenwriter Charles Edward Poe and Anthony Perkins were asked to pitch an idea for the fourth Psycho film. However, after the film opened to low box office returns, plans for another film were shelved. The third sequel would later on begin development in 1988 and ended up being written by the screenwriter of the original film, Joseph Stefano. Yeah, I heard the original idea for the fourth movie was going to be like a horror comedy, and it was going to be like him and an escaped mental patient or something running around like the Bates house or something. It was supposed to be like the Bates Motel was a tourist attraction, and basically the person they had as Norman in the tourist attraction quit or something, and the real Norman took over. Would have been kind of cool to see. I think I probably like that better than the actual fourth movie that we got, but still a good movie though. Once again, sort of playing out like the first movie a little bit again.
A lot of things.
So this was actually the final movie of the lady that plays Norma Bates, Norman's mother. This was actually her last film. And so this lady was actually in this ice box. This was a real stunt, and she was genuinely freezing to death pretty much in this.
Eating blood.
See, I like the little mannerisms in this scene.
He's stupid.
Hmm. Something else I didn't realize was there was actually fingerprints on the window at the very beginning, which was a throwback to the second movie, to where the guy's murdered in the fruit cellar. That was something I did not even notice. That's interesting.
No, I did not.
I'm kind of sitting here reading off IMDb. Not a big trivia section, actually. A lot of this stuff is just like, well, it made this much in the box office, and this person did this or whatever. Or some of it's just kind of common sense stuff, or just kind of not really to me trivia. See, I like this last part of the movie here. This is pretty much insanity from here on out.
110.
Yeah, we're almost done with it.
133.29.
Woody Woodpecker. Oh,
And he's not going to die.
here we go. Uh, I love this crap. I love this crap. This is Norman going off. Ho, 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 ho. Now there is no guitar.
He's watching it all right.
Exactly. This dude has lost it.
$115. You know this is a good movie when both of us are actually sitting here legitimately watching this movie. Yeah. Ice Maker.
Here's another cringy part. Oh, I hate that crap.
It snaps. 117 of 133.
I think there was a bit more of this score in like the alternate opening. Here we go.
Oh my.
He's in a predicament. Oh, that's the girl with the red hair from earlier in the movie. That was actually, I've never noticed that before.
Yes.
Which we all know that's where he takes the victims to, but meanwhile at the motel.
Drips.
Once again, another cool transition. I mean, like I keep saying, this movie is so underrated. I mean, there's so much cool stuff that's going on with this movie. But people hate it because they say it's a ripoff of the first movie. To me, that's what makes this movie so good. I love this. The atmosphere to me is great as well. I mean, all the throwbacks and the atmosphere. I even like the kind of sleazy nature it has to it. I like that. This is where everything goes to crap. Yes, this is some good stuff. I mean, he's an underrated actor. I mean, such a great actor.
123 and 133. I'm the
I
statistician,
thought you liked
apparently.
this movie.
I will admit it drags at the end. It's still good though.
Oh, they could have took at least an hour out of this movie and just left it 33 minutes.
Well, technically, they could have took 133:29 out of it.
And it just would have never been a movie.
Yeah. Now we're back to that circle of crap again.
Exactly.
That's where these always go. His mother's side is coming through. And she's going to die too. Not the mother, but I mean her. That it just showed.
This is a better movie than Halloween Kills.
Is that a fact?
Exactly. Do you agree?
I digress from this topic.
I concur.
I JK. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is a good film. Probably better than that, yeah. I liked Halloween Kills more because it was just for the effect of it. Because it had lots of kills. That's what Michael does.
See, there's
There's
stuff
lots of
in it I
kills.
liked.
It was called Halloween Kills. I mean, so it lived up to its name. Blah
There
blah
was stuff
blah.
in it I liked, but I mean, it is what it is.
He kills. What else was Michael do? Yeah, she's gonna die too.
Oh, this is good stuff here. Once again, those little mannerisms where he moves the picture back around.
Oh,
Oh my.
yeah, she's gonna die. 129 of 133. Once again, like I said about the Alfred Hitchcock hour, it should have been an hour.
Oh my. Well, at least until the next movie, he'll be locked up. Even though that technically doesn't take place after this movie, it's technically not even related to this movie or the second movie. It's only related to the first movie. All right, somewhere I believe this was added at the last minute or something because they wanted a twist or something like that. So this part was added. Once again, a throwback to the first movie. Well, there it
You
is.
expect it
That
to go
was.
dark. You expect it to go dark and then say, in the Twilight Zone.
Well, that was it. That is Psycho 3. So this is very much held up. I was kind of afraid that going back and watching this one, it wasn't going to hold up. But this was actually a very good movie. And this was actually a fun commentary. Some of the commentaries that you've never heard, like the Halloween Resurrection, yeah, that was just kind of a pain to get through. Not a good movie.
Probably
Maybe
for
we can go
more than
back.
one reason.
Maybe we can go back and do like the first Psycho at some point. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and like the 5 versions of the Jason Goes to Hell commentary.
Yeah. We're just going to do one of those and just put it out. Stop putting it off. So, what is your rating on this movie, Steve?
I'd say, in all honesty, like probably 8 out of 10.
That's what I was going to
it was good, but it just seemed to drag on just for the concept of what kind of film it is. It just seemed to just kind of go on and on and on. I felt like it kind of could come across what the story wanted to tell in probably more like an hour. It's like watching an episode of The Twilight Zone or something, and it lasts an hour and 30 minutes. You see what I'm saying? It can tell the story in shorter form. It just kind of elaborated a little too much, IMO, my opinion, but anyway.
Actually,
But
David Sanborn.
Good film.
David Sanborn played saxophone, but yeah, I would say I could probably give this an 8 out of 10 too, maybe an 8.5. Good movie. Like I said, it's held up. It really did. It held up. I really enjoyed this movie. And so, yeah, I mean, that is it. That is the commentary of Psycho 3, 1986, the first episode of the New Ridgeline podcast in the year 2022. So, yeah, that is it. So, Steve, do you have anything else to add?
Well, there's a monster inside my closet.
And I need something to eat.
Exactly.
Alrighty, so that is another episode of the New Ridgeline podcast, and we will see you next time.